Hey, what's good, YouTube? Welcome to my podcast. This is my third video. I'm going to be talking about the Roswell incident, and I'm sure many of you have, you know, heard this story, circling around multiple times. New information coming out and so forth, and but this is one of my ultimate UFO stories. And, what I really enjoy about this story is, the US government, right, actually announced, there was a flying disc crash, on July 8th, 1947. And I believe there was a rancher, right, who first discovered this. The debris on, I don't know if he owned that ranch or if he was working on the ranch or just driving around, but his name was Mac Brazel. He reached out to the local law enforcement, and then the story got to the US Army um in Roswell, New Mexico. Or I could be wrong. It might be the US, the Air Force. Because I believe there's an Air Force base within vicinity of this crash. But yeah. So what makes this story really interesting is the military changed their story. Right, it went from flying disc, and then 2 hours later, the RAAF, right, submitted a correction saying that it was a weather balloon. Now, right off the bat, I mean, that screams cover up, right? I'm pretty sure, the military knows what weather balloon debris looks like, right? So I highly doubt that, you're going to make that type of mistake. I mean, that's a huge difference. I could see, like, if the weather balloon was in the air and you flew by it, it might look like a flying saucer, from the air, and you could make a mistake there. But once it's crashed, once you've seen the debris, I highly doubt that anyone could make that mistake. We're all familiar, right, with planes and jets and helicopters and balloons, and you get a close-up view on the ground. But that was what was reported. And yeah, so some things I do want to point out. I mean, this was, I believe, a few years after World War II. I don't know if World War II extended after 1945, but according to Google, I believe it was between 1937 and 1945. And also in 1945, I believe this is when they did the Trinity test, which is which was at the White Sands National Park, which also is in New Mexico. So that makes that pretty interesting. Let's say if this was an actual UFO, I wouldn't be surprised if they're monitoring or were monitoring our planet, in the 1940s. They're like, yo, what the hell is going on? These humans are, now have nuclear capabilities. So, I mean, if we had, let's just say there was life on, I don't know, Titan, and we found life on Titan, and, right now, they're the beings on that, moon are primitive, right? Or as far as like technology goes, and you know, they're not advancing. And then 20 years down the road, they start, developing nuclear capabilities. I mean, we're going to keep tabs on that, you bet. So, I mean, even with our countries right next door, right? North Korea, Russia, China, we're keeping tabs, you know, daily. So, um, who says, extraterrestrials are not keeping tabs on us? So, um, but again, those are some things I wanted to point out. In the 1990s, I guess the Air Force, researched this incident again. And, I think in 1994, they said it was related to Project Mogul. And I believe they were saying it was actually a Russian spy balloon. I mean, I could see at that time, the United States not wanting to say, okay, this was, then people are going to freak out where like, oh, what, Russia's able to, get through, make it, through our, defenses and whatnot. But again, the balloon theory, I just don't see, you know, any strong evidence, of that, being a balloon. And again, the only reason is because you can't really misidentify that from the beginning, and you know yeah, I just don't see that mistake occurring. I could see it if it were from the still, if you didn't find the debris, right? And you were reporting it from the sky. But then again, I believe it occurred at nighttime. You know, I don't think a weather balloon has light fixtures. I just don't think you could see a weather balloon, crash, from a distance. Maybe you can if you're like close up, you might be able to see something. But, if you're pretty far out and if there isn't enough lighting, the chances are it's going to be pretty difficult. Now, daytime, I'm sure you could see, a weather balloon crashing. But again, yeah, it just, um, this is why it's one of my, ultimate UFO stories. And, but, if I mean, at that time, with the height of, you know, towards the tail end of World War II, and you have Russia, China, and, I believe, nuclear bombs were used on, Hiroshima and Nagasaki at that time, but, I believe Japan was still, a powerful, country, even after that, occurred, which is, that's horrible, that occurred. But, yeah, I think, the military did find, some, just something unique, something out of this world. And, I don't blame, I'm not going to blame, our country, right, for covering something up. I think, you know, you have countries that are, you know, everybody's competing against one another. I don't think you want, other nations to know what you have, right? And you know, but again, it's pretty, just pretty amazing to think, what type of capabilities are out there, propulsion, another means of propulsion. And, you know, um, at least we can, look into it, study it and whatnot. But I just wanted to make this short video. I mean, I'm sure all of you have heard, the story multiple times, and but yeah, I'm a firm believer that, was an actual UAP or UFO that crashed, and we retrieved it, and you know, and even the one of the military personnel, Jesse Marcel, in 1978, revealed, that it was a cover story. So that makes it more interesting. I do want to get deeper into it, maybe have some visuals and, but again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So I'm probably going to talk about more, UFO crashes. I know some of them were hoaxes, and some of them were, there's some evidence, and a lot of reports where it's like, people are scratching their head, and you know, but yeah, maybe I'll talk about the incident in Arizona, and I forgot which where it occurred, but yeah, there was I guess apparently a UAP was left behind with the doors open and whatnot. But yeah, I'll dig more into that. Hope you guys enjoyed this.